All right, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Take Time Out with Tre Mosley. I am Tre Mosley, and today I have a young man who he's about that VO life in more ways than one, and you'll discover what I'm talking about. He's been in VO now a little over a decade. Um, if you listen to the Today Show, you may hear him quite often. Um, he is also a hated rival because I am a fan of the University of Miami Hurricanes, and he is uh, NC State Wolfpack. Well, he went there, so you see all that nonsense going on. But anyway, um, my good friend Donovan Corneetz joins the show today.
How's it going?
It's going, man. It's going. Um,
Thanks for having me, Trey. This is awesome.
nah, man. I appreciate you taking time out. So let's get into a couple of things. One, um, the VO life. You know, for those who know who you are, we already know that you're an accomplished voice actor. But if you look behind him and the shirt he's wearing, nice plug, he's wearing apparel that he has created himself.
What do you mean?
Uh,
What are you talking about? I don't know what you mean. What are you talking
what
about?
I actually I got the Scully,
There you
and
go.
he's created a clothing apparel for voice actors and those who may support voice actors called VO Life. So, what prompted you to get into not only being in voiceover, but I think I want to start a clothing apparel company for
Yeah.
voice actors.
Yeah, man. Good question. Real quick note. I know you said a little over a decade. I'm 18 years in, man. I just
Oh,
realized
almost
that.
okay.
Yeah, man. I
Getting
realized
two
that.
decades,
Yeah, man.
almost.
I started in '05, and like just you saying that trick, I'm like, wow, decade? Wait a minute. I'm almost 20 in. So yeah, man. But anyway, I just wanted to make that note. But yeah, I kind of I had the idea actually about maybe 10, 12 years ago originally to have like a clothing line dedicated to voiceover, but I just didn't have the means, the resources, or even the know-how to even think about making it a reality. And then in 2018 is when I launched the brand. And really, it came from realizing that there wasn't a unifying like theme or identity for folks that do what we do, right? Um, you know how it is, and anybody else that does voiceover on almost any level will know. People ask, "What do you do?" You say, "I do voiceover." They're like, "Oh, voiceover, what's that?" Right? So it's almost like this. People don't even know it exists type of thing, and of course, it's gaining popularity. But even within the community, there wasn't like a unifying statement or anything. And so, VO Life and the hashtag VO Life logo came from a lot of the posts that I would put on. I don't think I was the very first one to ever do it, but I kind of from what I saw, I was one of the first people to use it very regularly, hashtag VO Life on everything. And it started to kind of gain some traction. And so I said, you know what? I do want it to be about VO Life because there's no other life like it. And yeah, so that's really all. That was the motivation. I said, you know what? I want something where we can wear something out in public or with colleagues, and there's an immediate acknowledgement, like almost like you have that Raiders on. If you saw somebody with a Raiders hat, immediately you're gonna say, "Hey, go Raiders" or whatever, right? If I see someone that has NC State gear, we're gonna throw up the Wolf sign, and they're gonna. It's an immediate camaraderie. So that's really what the motivation behind it was. Yeah, I just wanted something where people could see it and say, "Hey, okay, oh, what's that about?" It also helps in networking, man. Like people, if you're at some sort of event and maybe you're a little bit shy about talking to folks, they see your shirt. Oh, what's Viola? What's that about? What's going on with that? And you can say, oh,
Mhm.
right. And it's kind of an icebreaker. And people have told me all the time at conferences or any kind of networking meetups, it's helped as an icebreaker to get a conversation started. So yeah, that's kind of what I did. And like I said, started back in 2018, and it's been amazing the support it's gotten since then.
Very cool. Cause yeah, I now that it's starting to get a little chilly out here in the desert, I wear an assortment of hats and skull caps and whatnot. So
Right.
I'll be rocking mine once again. Um, Voiceover for you, was it always So on the road of life, was voiceover on the path, or did you see a fork in the road and go, "What's that over there?"
Oh yeah, it was a massive fork in the road. My original plan was to be a chiropractor. I was a biology major. I transferred to NC State as a bio major. That was my plan. I wanted to be a chiropractor. I wanted to be a doctor, but didn't want to deal with blood. So that was my whole motivation. I mean, and that's from grade school. I did internships in high school at chiropractors' offices. I learned how to develop X-rays and do
Wow.
exams. I was a total science nerd, um, and that was my plan. That was my life plan. And I got to NC State, and I had been hearing from folks for so many years. Hey, you should do radio. You had a great voice for radio. You should try radio. Have you ever thought about radio? And I said, you know what? I'm here. They got a student-run radio station, 88.1 WKNC. Shout out. And so I said, what the heck? I literally went there just to check it out and see if it was even possible.
Hmm.
And in the elevator, I met a guy who had his own hip hop show, and we kind of
Nice.
hit it off. And I ended up being his co-host, and we did this show for a few years together. And we used to do these spoof commercials, just like comedy, silly stuff.
Just doing
Uh,
bits.
yeah, yeah, just doing little bits. But I
Yeah.
kind of fell in love with the process. I'm like, man, this is fun. We would record it, we put music beds on it, and we were using a 2-track system. Like when I tell you, like
Wow.
we were putting whole things together with 2 tracks of like do it this way, then export it, then put it back in, then put another layer, then
I
export it.
remember those
Like that's
days. Yeah.
so that's how we had to do it because we couldn't afford any big software anyway.
Sure.
And I kind of liked the process. I was like, this is fun. And I had a professor there that did voiceover on the side, and he kind of brought it up in class, kind of casually, and I was like, oh, so wait, that's kind of like what we've been doing, okay. And I talked to him about it, and he said, well, if you're serious, you have a demo. Do you have this? Now, this is probably like in 2004, and I had no idea what a demo was, not a clue, at least not for voiceover anyway.
Hmm.
And he said, "Yeah, you gotta put together a demo." I was like, "All right, great. I'll have one to you tomorrow." Like I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah, like no clue. And
Like,
so that was
okay.
really, yeah, so I'll do it. And so he just said, some clips of your work. So I literally put together a demo. It was like 3 minutes long. Again, I had
Wow.
no clue what I was doing. 3 minutes long of me self-producing, self-writing. I think it was like 3 or 4 spots that were all full-length spots. And I had no clue. And so I gave it to him, and I tell this story often. He told me the day after I gave it to him, he said, "Hey, I listened to your demo. Would you like honesty, or do you want me to sugarcoat it?" I was like, "Well, I know that ain't good if you're giving me that choice." And
Go
he
on
said,
and give it to me straight.
"I said, no, man, I need honesty. That's the only way I'm going to learn." He said, "Well, this is probably the worst demo I've ever heard in my life."
Wow.
I said, "Okay, all right. Well, what next?" And
Right.
he said, "Well, here's the issue. It's not that you don't have any talent or any skill. He's like, obviously you have a great voice. You just don't know what the hell you're doing." He said, "So here's what you need to do: research it, books, whatever, online." And that was it, man. Once I got a taste of that, I mean, I was doing stuff for the school for free, and it was always kind of like one day it would be cool. I didn't even know you could do it as a full time job. I really
Mhm.
thought it was like, oh yeah, just some cool stuff. I didn't even realize people were getting paid serious money for it. I just thought it was like, oh, here's $20, do our voicemail. Like I had no clue. But after researching it and being in it for a while, it ended up becoming just a labor of love, and it became an ultimate goal. And then in 2010, I got laid off from a job that I had as a sound designer at a video game studio.
Hmm.
Um, and had a 6-month-old baby, and everyone was on my insurance, and it was like, what you gonna do, man?
Yeah.
And I told my wife, I said, give me 60 days, try to make this side hustle my main hustle. And she said, all right, you got 2 months. And that's history. I've been doing it full time since spring of 2010, after getting laid off. So
That's
that's
what's
that's the story, man.
shout out to mama for giving you,
Hey,
you
look,
know,
man, I'll
you know
tell
what
you
I'm saying?
right now, in front of God and country, from every mountaintop, I couldn't have done it without the support of my wife. She was so instrumental in encouraging me and helping me out. When I couldn't afford to go to networking things at conferences, I was using her airline miles because she traveled for her job back then.
Bruh.
So she gave me rental car points. She gave me airline miles,
Oh,
hotel
she hooked
points.
it
Oh
up.
yeah, man. And she understood and she saw that I was putting in work. I wasn't just, I'm gonna her to death.
Mhm.
And she saw I was putting the work in. I mean, I was putting in like 13 to 16-hour days just at a computer, networking, reaching out, cold calling, all while watching a 6-month-old baby because we couldn't afford daycare anymore without both
Right.
of our incomes. And so that's what I did, man. So like anyone that asks me about voiceover and I tell them about the grind that it takes, because there wasn't all these pay to plays and all of these different venues back
Right.
then, right? I don't want to hear any excuses, man. Like I did it from a computer for hours upon hours a day while watching an infant and putting it all together. So yeah, man, that's kind of how it grew, man.
I'm glad you touched on that, and shout out to spouses that truly support, because trust me,
Absolutely.
I've
It
been
means
in that
everything.
boat where I'm sitting here like, bills are gonna due,
Yeah.
and my wife told me, she's like, "Look, I got us until we don't. So use that time. If this gonna be your thing, go do it." So,
Same, brother. Same.
you know what I'm saying? Um, this is what I hate getting old, because now I forgot my question. Oh, so and with that, um, how do you balance work life and family life? Because what we do, you in your booth and me in here in the home studio. I mean, we both have home studios, but you got a booth. My point is, if you're in there 8, 10, 12 hours a day, um, and then by the time you're done, maybe wife is just getting home, kids are just getting home from school, and you've been doing this all
Right.
day, and your son might want to go and hoop, and you like, bruh,
Yeah.
now you want to go hoop, dude. This like
Yeah.
how do you manage it all?
Well, I'll be honest with you. It has been a process, and I won't even lie and say I still don't have it 100% figured out. But what I will say is, since I want to say about 2018 ish, I've been sole provider. My wife hasn't had to work. It's
Nice.
took off to a point where she didn't have to. So that has been amazing. She pretty much handles the finances for the business. So we both work from home. She kind of works for me technically. But when it comes to with like the kids and stuff, and now my sons are definitely they're 14 and 11 now,
Mhm.
and very cognizant. They're involved in extracurricular things with music and what have you. And so it's tough, man, because it's almost what's that word? It's weirder because I'm home, but I'm not available. So,
I get
sometimes it's like they're upstairs and my studio is down in the basement, and it's like daddy's home, but daddy's at work.
right.
You know what I mean? And so I really had to, over the course literally of years of trial and error and just cold turkey sometimes, I just have to force it. Like, I'll be honest with you, that you know how it is, man. There's always an audition you can be doing. There's
Yep.
always some marketing that you could be doing. There's always something you can find some work to do. and but the kids are gonna be what's gonna be there when every single client that I have now has moved on to somebody else, right? And so the family had to become like the priority. Now, of
Mhm.
course, I need excuse me, I need VO to support the family, right? It's how I earn a living.
Sure.
But what am I earning it for if I'm not around those that depend on me and that love me? So it really has been like dedicated times, hours. And look, we're both involved heavily in promo. And promo is a very like on demand right now kind of genre.
Right.
And I mean, I've had to do things like leave a date night or adjust a date night or leave dinner or leave something or record on the side of the road or record on vacation. But the
Yeah.
family knows that that's part of the gig. But there's also times where I refuse to be available. I'm unplugged. Don't call me unless there's like, hey, so and so needs you right now, and it pays this much. Okay, we'll
Please.
figure something out.
Yeah.
Um, because I know the people that hire me that work with me, they're going to take their time with their family. So I feel like I have the right to do the same. So there are some times where I'm just not available. The mic gets cut off. I'm
Yeah.
helping with homework. Like you said, I'm outside hooping with the kids or going to see them, play in the band at a game, or I'm here or I'm there. And what made it even tougher is during the pandemic in 2020, I started coaching in promo and commercial, right? And I got
Hmm.
so many inquiries about it. And so I do that after my work days, starting
Yeah.
at 5:30. And it took off so crazy that every day I was booked up. So I wasn't seeing my kids until 7 o'clock, almost quarter to 7 o'clock
I
at
took
night.
a hiatus from it. I was that same thing. Clubhouse. I blame it all on Clubhouse. I got on
Clubhouse can trap
Clubhouse
you,
and
man.
started talking, and all of a sudden the emails was like, "Can you coach? Can you coach? Can you coach?" I'm like, "Ugh."
Yeah,
And I now do it very sporadically, for folks because and you can attest to this. You'll get people that say, "Hey, I wanna do what you do," and then you say, "Okay, if you wanna do that, here are the first steps," and then poof, you don't
yeah.
hear from them.
You don't hear it
And
again.
I got tired of having people, "Hey, man, I wanna do voiceover. Hey, I wanna do VO." And then you, you know, tell them what they need to do, and they disappear. For those of you and we're gonna take a quick moment, if you haven't heard the dulcet tones of Mr. Donovan Corneetz, we're gonna play a little bit right now.
NBA League Pass, you can stay connected to the game you love, wherever you are. Little Richard, I Am Everything. Labor Day on CNN. Live on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. This is the most explosive fight of the year.
All hail the queen.
Season 1 premiere of All the Queen's Men, now on VH1. When the only option is to win, you win. Hit the lab in Madden Ultimate Team, then dominate with precision. Next on the Miss Pat Show, has Pat found Mr. Right for Janelle?
Trey, even his name is nerdy.
Exactly. Nerds don't get you pregnant.
Or Mr. Right now?
The story is about many people.
America's Hidden Stories, The Black Wild West, premieres next Monday at 9, part of Smithsonian Channel's celebration of Black History Month. It's all on the WWL-TV app. Breaking news,
We're following breaking news out of Jefferson Parish.
local weather,
We are expecting an active weather day, so make certain that you are weather aware.
original stories.
Yeah, so it's a little something, something.
That's a little something. I'm gonna
And
ask
I
you
had some
something.
Today Show clips too, but yeah, that's been it's been a wild ride, man.
So in this almost 20-year career,
Which is crazy to hear you say that out loud. That's wild.
dude, I'm at 15 and I'm like, I am? So I'm right behind you. Um, seeing the longevity in our careers, uh, does it ever seem weird to hear yourself?
That's funny. You never get used to it. Like it's still cool. Like I have a national radio campaign for Bounty paper towels where I'm on a spot with T-Pain and his song "Buy You a Drink,"
Wow.
and I hear the song come on. And I'm like, is it the real song
Oh, is
or
it
is
you?
it my commercial?
Yeah.
And then I hear it, and it still gives me chills. I still am like, oh my gosh, that's me. And being the voice of like today's show since 2020, I'll see it come on NBC or wherever, and it still is like, hey, that's me.
Mhm.
And I think what's really important is to not lose that, right? To not lose that kind of enthusiasm and that kind of glee of hearing
Mhm.
the fruits of your labor because it kind of helps you stay hungry. You know what I mean? Instead of it being like, yeah, that's me again. Yeah, it was just a check, whatever.
How does
Uh,
the family react to it?
yeah, it's still great. Speaking of like supportive spouses, my wife would be like, yeah, that's my baby,
So
and
it's not just me. Okay, I don't
nah,
feel
man,
alone
the
now.
kids think it's so cool. I'm gonna tell you what, man. I'm almost always like the coolest guy at career day at my kid's school. Like, I
Almost.
get a bit, yeah, man, almost. And I mean, when you can get like fifth, sixth, seventh graders to like pay attention, eighth graders to stop talking and pay attention to you, and like they give me a round of applause, and
Oh,
one
wow.
couple of one wanted like autographs, which is really strange. But the only time, there's been a couple of times I got beat out and I had no argument. Once there's a guy from the NFL, one of the students, his cousin played in the NFL. I was like, yeah, can't really,
Yeah. What
can't
what
really
what
do nothing with
what,
that.
what are you gonna do against that?
And then somebody worked with like with Tyler Perry, and had like pictures and stuff showing that they knew Tyler Perry. So that those are two times I got beat out. But I can take that. But no, it's always great. The kids are really proud. They're it's some of the where they're saying like, yeah, that's my dad kind of thing, and that never gets old.
Yeah.
That is always cool, and I've helped my kids get a couple of bookings, of their own through auditions. So
Oh,
yeah,
the
no,
family business, huh?
it's definitely awesome, man. It
That's
is. There's
cool.
no denying it.
So are they I know that you said that they're involved in other things and they've booked a couple of things. Are they looking to pursue it even further? Or it's just like, it's a one-off here, one-off there.
Yeah, I think at this point, like, look, I know there's some of our colleagues that have kids that are like in it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're booking, they're like demos and websites, and I think that's awesome. It really is. Those are not my kids. I mean, to the point where I try to like coach them all, and I try to through it, and it's like, just let me do it, Dad. Like they don't, I'm just dad.
Yeah.
They don't believe that I know what I'm talking about. And so, yeah, they don't really care about it
Mhm.
right now. But, they're involved in music, and my younger one's involved in sports and music and things of that nature. So, you know what? I'm not going to force anything on them. If the bug, if it bites them at some point in their life and they want to try to pursue it even further, I'm here. But then the trick is like when, because they're
Yeah.
at school, then they get back, they got homework, or they got band practice, or they got this, or they got that, and it's homeworks and studying. And it's like, well, when the hell am I going to have a chance? And then the weekends, like I don't want to look at this microphone on the weekends.
I'm
I look
telling
at it
you.
all day, every day. So like I like having time away from the booth. So I literally have talked to my wife about like when would I work with them? Like when we
I
have
s
time. It's
I
wild.
saw something the other day where a VO colleague literally had to drive to school, snatch her kid out on lunch break or something to
Oh, for
do
a
a
booking.
session
Yeah, I'm
and
not doing
take
that.
them back to school. I'm like, I don't know if I could do that all the time.
No, I definitely don't want to do that. That's why I can't, every now and then the agents will send me something like, hey, you got kids, right? Like, hey, would you mind having them? And, I'll read it in between, but I will never put some VO booking over like homework. I'll never put it over studying for a test. I will never put it over grades. We're very much like education first because, everything I had that had to do with voiceover, I got while I had my time
Right.
at college, and I graduated with honors. Yeah, we don't play that around here. So it's school first.
I would imagine so, being, such a studious guy as yourself, chiropractor. But then he
Yeah.
didn't want to be around blood. What is that about?
Hey, look, I'm gonna tell you how much of a nerd I was in high school. I was in the astronomy club because my high school actually had a planetarium in the school, and
Wow.
I worked in the planetarium, like showing constellations and stuff. And I got trained on how to use an electron microscope while I was in high school by like this doctor at IBM. Like that's how much I was in. Like this is gonna be my life: science, research. Who knew radio station would change everything, right?
Yeah.
And but no, I have no regrets, man. I've had incredible opportunities, and I've met and worked with some incredible people because of this career path, and I've been able to do things for myself and for my family I would have never thought possible. You know what I mean? And
Amen.
growing up, so I got no regrets, man. VO life all the way.
First of all, shout out to whatever this immaculate school you went to that had an I love astronomy. Back in Miami, we
Newburgh
have
Free Academy, NFA, Newburgh, New York, baby.
we had I can't think of the place now, but it's a it's a ah, planetarium,
Mhm.
and we take field trips to it, but we didn't
Yeah,
have one in the school because I love to sit and look at
man,
the
it's
constellations and like, oh, that's Sirius, the dog star, and there's Orion's belt, and my friends and
yeah.
they're like, bro, what you talking about? Like, y'all don't see that?
We used to have like elementary school kids would have field trips to the high school, and they would come in, and we would do like a little Christmas program and the winter sky versus the summer sky and constellations. Yeah, man, we used to do all of that stuff. Super, super nerd. I was a super nerd. So I had to run track just to like try to
Get some cool
seem
points.
cool. Yeah, get some cool points. I had to run track. My mom wouldn't let me play football. So yeah, I had to run track so that I could at least get some cool points. But yeah, man, talk about a departure. You're talking about a fork in the road. Yeah, it was a humongous fork, knife, and spoon in the road.
I'm trying to tell you. So what would you say to date? And it's two parts. So coolest gig you've done thus far, and a gig that you haven't done, but if the call comes, you like, I'm your guy.
Man, that's tough. Coolest gig. I've had a lot of amazing gigs, man. All right, I'll say like maybe. So I'll do it based on like impact. All right.
Okay.
So there's a couple that I'll have to put in there. Number one, which was kind of my breakout spot for promo and being involved with networks, and that was booking, being the announcer and the voice of Justin Bieber's roast on Comedy Central.
Ah.
Right. And so booking that, I was actually the in-show voice, and I did promos for it, and I did like the opens and closes and the bumps in between
Yeah.
commercial breaks. I did all that stuff. And so when they did the actual show, they used my pre-recorded voice to like introduce Kevin Hart, who was the host of it, and to introduce Justin Bieber. So that was amazing. And I'll tell you why. Not just because it was my first like official union credit, but I was in LA for a conference and they needed some re-records.
Mm-hmm.
And some things had changed with guests and what have you. And so they were like, we need you to come to the studio right now. So they booked me in a studio in Hollywood, like with the like on the lot, right? Where you go in,
Oh,
a
okay.
little
Yeah.
thing goes up and they got like the studio, the sound stages. And so I went into this studio and I being first of all, just being there was like, I'm in Hollywood, like recording voices. This is crazy. But I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell you what made it the coolest thing ever. The booth. Like if you've been in certain studios,
Mm-hmm.
right? We have the booth, you have the engineers here, and you got like the glass, right? Well, the
Yeah.
glass in this booth was an aquarium with
What?
actual live fish, and I
Dang.
had never even heard of no crap like that. And I'm and I'm trying to remember what the name of the studios was, but it was like something Hollywood Studios. Anyway, I'm in there, and I'm like, there's a fish tank separating me from the. So you're looking at the guys like, all right, we're gonna go here. All right, we're good. Sound check.
And
There's
meanwhile,
like this
just
fish, yeah. So like you're like, this is my booth here. Just
yeah.
imagine a full on aquarium with the bubbles and everything. And it was still silent. So that's why that gig was cool, and it opened up so many opportunities for me being because it was a very popular show.
Yeah.
So that was first of all. Now the other one would be I had a character in Walking Dead video game, a DLC called 400 Days, and Clive was the name of the character I booked. And it wasn't a huge part. I literally had like 8 lines, so it's not like something I could go to a con. No one would care who I was. But being a part of the game actually had like random people from like Germany wanting an autographed 8x10 glossy. So
Of
I
your
got
character
requested
or of you?
of the character. Well, they asked for me, but I was like, so I sent them the characters. I actually got a picture of the character, printed it out, went to Walmart and got like 30 of them printed out on 8x10 glossy, and I signed them and put their name. And I mean, they were so excited, and they would send me pictures of it on their wall, of them like opening it. I mean, it was surreal, and so that
That's
was
crazy.
really really cool. And you start to see the reach that's possible with
Mm-hmm.
what we do, and like I did that here, it's just me in a padded room talking to myself, and some kid in Germany or wherever, and I had some people in Africa and Italy and Canada, and they wanted my autograph because of 8 lines. I didn't, I'm not Dave Fanoy, and he's like the main character in the whole game.
Right.
But so that those two stand out as being like really cool just because of the impact that it had on me and other people. Now, being the
Mhm.
voice of today's show is super cool. So let me let me just put that out there. Now, as far as the phone call I get, anything to do with Pixar, I think that's pretty standard. I would love to be part of a feature film. I would like to be a recurring character on some kind of animated show. I think that would be cool. Or be like the narrator of a series of shows, Wonder Years esque. I would
Gotcha.
definitely take that call. It used to be movie trailers, but I've done a couple of movie trailers, which was really, really great. So I can kind of check that off the VO bucket list. So yeah, I got to put recurring character on a cartoon, show narrator on a consistent basis, and anything that's a feature film would be really, really cool.
Man, we parallel so much. Because at least for me to, and I'll answer my own question.
What
Coolest
about
gig,
you, Trey? What about you?
coolest gig to date. Um, I would probably start with Madden.
I was gonna
Uh,
say the DJ, man.
yeah, from starting out as just the DJ in the game to now, I'm doing the the screen. When you first, so
Like you
if
doing like
you're
the tutorial and
Yeah,
all that
I'm
stuff.
doing the tutorials.
Yeah, man.
If it's your first time playing Madden, I'm the first person you hear, "Hey, we got a newbie. Welcome to Madden 24." And if it's somebody, coming back, "Hey, you've been here before. Welcome back." And so doing that, doing the accessibility screen,
Right.
and just going from one character to now being in the game. And then last season, when Coach Madden passed away, they asked me to do a narration in game, and they know that I do stuff here in town for these people here for the Raiders. So um, they have an end game called the Legacy game, and then you get to halftime, and the announcer goes, "And now we have a special halftime narration by the Raiders' own Tre Mosley." First of all, I didn't know that was going to be in the game.
Yeah.
Um, One of the
No, that's definitely
producers
cool.
was on Twitter, and he did a screen capture. It was like, "Hey, I know this guy," and he tagged me, and I'm listening to it. I'm like, so now I
Yeah.
go and download the game, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, skip, 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 skip,
Yeah. Skip, skip, skip,
play,
skip, skip. There it is.
and get to the halftime, and I'm listening to it, and dude, like I could just pour this water on my face because that I was just like, I
Yeah,
was,
man.
I
Nah, that's
it
cool.
blew me away. Um,
That's really cool.
and then the second coolest gig is, of course, working with my team that I love. What I didn't know, so when we moved out here in 21, and I had been doing stuff even when we were back in Florida. And they was like, "Hey man, we want you to come out to the Monday night game. It's the first home game that people are back after the pandemic." I'm like, "All right, cool." They gave us some nice seats. We rated down. I'm like, "This gonna be a good game." Lights go off on the jumbotron. Video pops up, and I hear my voice in
Yeah.
front of 70,000 people. I was just like, yo.
Yeah.
And I remember taking my camera because I was just being in the moment, filming stuff. And then when it came up, and I'm like, and I literally heard myself go, "That's me."
Yeah.
Dude,
You know what? It's funny you say that about the parallel because as you mentioned, I am a graduate of NC State, and for about 7 or 8 years, I was actually the voice of the university. Right, I did their whole Think
wow.
and Do campaign. I started their campaign, so I did like the TV commercials, their YouTube pre rolls, like everything was me on it, which was awesome. And then, sure enough, we would go to a football game or to a basketball game, and they're gonna play the commercial for the university,
Right.
and I could hear me up there saying like NC State Think and Do. And man, I was screaming like a child, like, wow, that's me. And then the kids are like, Daddy, that's you. Like, yeah, that's me. Let's go. Right. And so that was just, it was really cool. And then like when they started playing on TV, to have people like, message me on Facebook or wherever, like, oh my God, is that you? Like, you're the voice of NC State? That's crazy. Um, So yeah, that it's funny you say that now. I probably wasn't 70,000 in the stadium, but whatever. I can concede that. But no, it was a very similar experience, man. Of just like, because I wasn't expecting it,
Yeah.
and you kind of sit. I could see if you're like, all right, guys, it's gonna play at exactly 3 p.m. It wasn't
Right.
that at all. It was like, hey,
Yeah.
so did you guys get the what? Wah! But I did not have the peace of mind to like pull out my phone and record it. So I completely missed it, but I was definitely in the moment. And that was very cool. Plus, you're hearing yourself on like speakers that are the size of my booth,
Wow.
and you really hear like my voice, which, fairly deep voice, but it sounded like roaring through. I was
Yeah.
like, man, that's cool. Like, I had
Yeah.
goosebumps the whole time. So yeah, man, I'm with you on that. That's very, very cool.
Yeah. It was dope. And, to have my wife there with me and like the guys that were sitting behind us, because they heard, that's you, dude. I'm like, he's like, hey, this the guy right here, man.
Yeah,
That's
that's
that
him,
dude.
bro.
So now I got all, because I have a custom made jersey and it says Tre Mo on the back. So now these people are like, hey, Tre Mo. And I'm like, who the hell? The jersey.
Oh, the jersey.
So it's still that to this day that ranks up there, is one of those um proud moments in
Yeah, for
in
sure.
my VO career. Something you said that I wanted to touch on too. So as you're listening to yourself, you're like, hey, yeah, I did that. So other than the wife and kids, do other family like, hey, were you just on such and such
All
commercial?
the
Because
time,
that
man.
guy sounds just like you. And
Yeah.
then it's not you.
Yes. You know what? I'm gonna tell you. I feel like it's just the circle of life, if you will, the circle of VO life, if you will,
Hey now.
because there are a couple of people where I was kind of making my way, in the industry, and people would get me and like some veterans mixed up. Like, oh, is that you? Like, no, it's this new guy, Donovan. No, but we joke about it, and in person. But yeah, look, all the time, man. People, like, hey, is that you on the NFL thing? Like, nah, that's not me. Man, it sounds just like you. I'm like,
But it ain't
okay,
me.
like it is what it is. I just take it as I actually heard this is 100% true. I heard this from someone that they got direction on something that I purposely
And
didn't get.
you were the reference?
Well, no, because I didn't get the audition
Hmm.
because part of the direction was we want a poor man's Donovan Corneetz. Like that's literally what they said was in the specs. And so they didn't send it to me because they didn't think they could afford me or whatever, or that
Wow.
I was too big for it. And so you start to see certain elements of my delivery and tone and things that I
Hmm.
do that gets mimicked. But whatever. It's part of the industry, I guess. And yeah, so there's sometimes I heard I'm like, damn, did I do that? Like, like, wait a minute, I don't remember that being on my calendar. So yeah, it's one of those things where it stings a little bit,
Hmm.
but it's the biz, man. For every gig there is, you know how it is. You're gonna not get a huge percentage of the stuff you go out for, and for those
Yeah.
those wins, that means somebody else. Those losses mean somebody else won, and hey, you know what? Good for you. And I'll be honest with you, man. It was a reality check. I'm a very like grounded in reality kind of guy, and people that coach with me or that know me well know this. Every job I've ever had in voiceover, I replaced somebody else, which means
Mm,
I'm ultimately replaceable,
you're
right?
right.
And so I don't get too caught up on who booked what and they sound like me or oh man, I was like, oh man, I auditioned for that. They went with that, like that's not what they asked for. Or damn, okay, yeah, pretty damn good. Okay, yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that. Damn, I like it. Or it's like they got someone that sounds exactly like me. Like what the hell? They could have just got me. But you know what, man? I'm just gonna enjoy the ride, man. I'm gonna ride this wave as long as I can. Because yeah, man, at some point my contract's not gonna get renewed at whatever client. Um, in 2022, yeah, last year was it 21? 22, I lost my two biggest clients in the same year. Um, just moving on to different things. Maybe it's 21, but anyway, and that hurts. You notice, I mean, like a big chunk.
Yeah.
They were both like repeat, so you're missing that monthly income. But
Mm-hmm.
I've since, been able to replace that with other stuff, And so all that to say, yes, I hear people and it's not me, but it's like, what, that's their win.
Yeah. I've that happened to me this year, and I was like, "Ooh," because I made that much just off that client, and now they're gone this year, and it's like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Time to get back to the grind. Well, yeah, you just keep working at it, man, because ultimately all of us are replaceable. As much as we like to think, no, you're part of the family and and
Yeah.
you might be at that time, but somebody new gets hired or
Until a new
subcontract
family
comes
member
out,
comes
and yeah,
in.
and then
Yeah.
then somebody comes in and takes your spot. So, um, I'm just thankful for what I've been able to do in this industry. I'm thankful for what I've been the life I've been able to like give my family and myself. Like I said, I used food stamps in my youth, man. So like, and I don't mean the cool card. I mean like the little multicolored things that would tear out of the booklet.
Hey.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Didn't even look cool like a debit card. So to go from that to like I have no worries about bills being paid or anything like that. And
Yeah.
so yeah, man, I'm just super thankful, and I've been able to meet and work with some incredible people at all levels of this. I get to meet people like yourself who are doing amazing things, man, and one of the nicest guys ever. When we finally met in person in Vegas a couple years back. So yeah, man, it's a great gig, man. There's nothing like it, bro.
It's
Plus, I get to hear.
literally
I get to hear my voice. Everything you play, that's all real, man. And I could have probably sent you 20 more things, and it's like just to be called upon to help represent brands that have been established for decades, if
mm-hmm.
not more. Um, I mean, today's show is an institution, and for them to trust me with that brand, it's
Yeah.
incredible. ESPN and VH1, BET, and HGTV and Smithsonian, like it's surreal. And I remember way back doing voiceovers in my dorm bathroom for
Wow.
free and thinking like, you know what, man, one day it would be cool if somebody paid me to do this, and to go from that with my little Radio Shack microphone and sitting on a toilet in a dorm bathroom doing, because that's the only place I thought had great acoustics was in the
We
bathroom.
all did was the bathroom.
And to go from that to what we do now, man, it's absolutely incredible, man. And I'm very thankful for it every single day.
Truly living the VO life.
Yeah, man, truly living the VO life for sure.
All right. So I'll wrap
No, I
up.
didn't mean to get all sappy on you, man.
No, no, man.
Took the air out of the room, but
That's why when you ask me, is there how do we prep? I'm like, nah, I don't want prep
yeah,
because
no prep at all. This is all.
what you give me
Yeah.
is what you give me, and that's why I like doing it the way I do it. So we close the segment with what I like to call uh take time out with you, the guest. So when you're not in the booth, and you kind of touched on it uh earlier in the segment, but when you're not in the booth, the mic's off, and you have a day or maybe a couple of days where there's just no
Yeah,
marketing, no emails, no VO. How does Donovan Corneetz take time out for himself?
man. You know what? That's a really good question because it varies based on what we can do. So I'll be honest. Number one is probably going to be something involving the family, man. Like I have become such the like. I mean, like the dad. You know what I mean? Like I'm that guy. I'm at
Mm-hmm.
my one of my sons is in marching band in high school. So Friday nights now for this season, I would have never thought I was going to be involved with
You're
Friday
a
night. Like
band parent.
I'm a band parent, man, and so like so that's what I'm doing on Friday nights. Away games, home games. We're out there cheering on
What does
our
he
team.
play?
So he's in percussion. So right now he's on the crash cymbals.
Okay.
But he's played like the toms before and xylophone, which they call the bells. And he's played probably between middle school and now high school. He's played probably like 7 or 8 different percussion instruments. But right now in the marching band, he does the cymbals.
Cool.
So yeah, there's that, man. But I'm really big on trying to find unique experiences that like the whole family can enjoy. Like a few weeks ago, we did this thing called Fun Box,
Okay.
where it's like the largest like bounce house park. And
Oh,
so they had it here about 25 minutes away from where I live. And it's in the parking lot of a mall. And I mean, this thing is massive. Like, it's like they took a bunch of really cool things and they just Velcroed them all together. Now you have this
okay.
like hundreds of square feet of just bouncy house type stuff, climbing and jumping. So we did that a few weeks ago. That was really cool. Or I'll try some like, weekend getaway, to the mountains of Georgia now that I'm down here outside of Atlanta. A show. We went to go see MJ the musical, which is amazing if anyone gets a chance to see it. So stuff like that, man. I find a lot of joy in being able to just like, you know what? I want to give experiences. I want there to be times where you could, hey man, remember when we were kids and we did that? Because I kind of had a few of those things. Actually, I had a lot of those things growing up, and so that's what I'm really big on. But when it's just me,
Yeah.
you know what? I don't really have anything, man. Like I talked to my wife about it. Like I don't have a thing that I do. I don't have a vice. I don't have a hobby. Like it's like family stuff takes up everything. Now, what I will say is, I used to be into video games, but I just don't have time for it now. But I do have in the next room has like a little game room, and I have an arcade machine that has like 16,000 games on it. And
Wow.
so if I have a chance, I like to get on there and play some old school games because they have like all the old school arcades like up through.
Like
I want to
Capcom
say,
versus Marvel.
yeah, I mean, yes, actually, you said yes,
That's
absolutely,
that's
bro.
my joint, man. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I play the hell out of that. And I played the old Ninja Turtles arcade game, and it also has all the console games up through PS1. So
Wow.
I'll be on there playing like stuff from Nintendo, stuff from Sega Genesis.
Yeah, I'm,
So
I'm,
yeah,
I'm gonna
that
need that info, bro.
yeah, I got you offline. Well, I'll
Yes,
hit you
sir.
up with that. But look, man, so that's really what I do. Or I like working out, man, playing ball. I got a basketball court that we put in our backyard, a half court thing. So like I'll go and shoot around. But that's it, man. Like I really don't have a thing, man. I don't have a thing. If it's not work, if it's not family, it's really I don't know, and I'm okay with that. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything
Yeah.
because I live a pretty good life. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I know it sounds weird to say, but I don't really have a thing. I don't have a thing that I do.
I
I
don't
need,
think
I
it's
need maybe
weird.
you can give me some suggestions. I
So
need
for me, I have several vices. Um, many people know if you follow me on social media, there isn't a grill that I that Oh, you have a grill. Well, look, I
yeah, I
just
see
happen to
you and
have.
Stefan going back and forth, going at it
Yeah.
with the
So if
grilling.
I'm not barbecuing, um, I also I still have a little bit of kid in me, so I collect a lot of action figures. My
Okay.
entire room looks like somebody broke into Toys R Us and stored all the stash here. So I collect collectibles. I love vinyl.
Okay.
I just got some I just got Duran Duran for my birthday. Couple of jazz albums. So vinyl cuz I have a stereo player in here and then there's one downstairs in the family room. So when I'm in that mode or in that mood, I'll close my door if she's studying or if it's just me here, and I will crank that mug up. Like I was listening to the Top Gun soundtrack just because. And my boy's like, Top Gun? I'm like, bro, who didn't watch Top Gun?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like,
It's funny you say that because you're making. So I have some NC State collectible stuff, but I don't really. I don't like. I'm not a collector. Like I'm not always getting something.
yeah.
But I will say, if I had something close to a vice, you kind of sparked something. It would be like action movies. I can watch this. I'm not one of those people that watch a movie one time and I never like anything to do with Jason Bourne,
Oh,
John
I got the
Wick.
collection, dude.
Yeah, man. Like I love Jason Bourne movies. Like Jack Reacher, John Wick. Like so, all of those kinds of stuff. I can watch those movies over and
What about
over.
Big Trouble in Little China?
You know what? I haven't seen it since it was, and
Man.
I guess what year was that came out? That was in the 80s, right? Yeah,
88
see, I was a
maybe.
kid. Yeah, see, I was 8 years old. So I don't know. I have to go back and check that out. I would say like my stuff probably starts around maybe late 90s to early 2000s, my late teen, early 20s years. I'm 44. So, but like I didn't really care, man. Like sports stuff wasn't a thing for me until I was in college. That's how like I didn't care about college sports until I was in college and I went to a game and I was like, okay. And then I was there. My first football game I ever went to was Phillip Rivers' senior year, and he was
Oh,
amazing.
wow.
Yeah, yeah. So that was my first exposure to college football, and so I was hooked immediately. And now I'm NC State. Like, look, I'm gonna tell you something. Like, I got an official. Let me show you, like NC State Lego
Oh, that's dope.
that I got for being the voice of the Think and Do campaign. Like, those are very rare. Like, not a lot of people have stuff like that. So little. Yeah, I became like Wolfpack through and through. But yeah, man, I would say like action movies. I'm definitely one, like, wife is out of town or she's doing ladies' night, or the kids or whatever, they're playing their games. I'm coming down here to the basement and I'm putting on, some kind of loud with explosions and car
Yes,
chases. And
sir.
I'm like, this is what I brought the subwoofer for. I want to feel these explosions, at least the sound of it anyway. And so yeah, I would say that might be the closest thing I have to a vice. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just don't have time. I need to make time to have a legit vice.
Now,
Maybe when
when
the
you're
kids are
watching
older.
your movies, do you go all out? Do you get like some snacks or drink and just like, all right, hit the surround and go for it, or you just
So
watch the
yeah,
movies?
I'm not. I don't need. I don't. Hey, I don't need like popcorn and snacks and stuff. I mean, I might occasionally, have a drink or like some snacks with, but that's not for me. That's not the experience. The experience is just being in it and kind of being in this fantasy world where guns never run out of ammo and bad guys always miss. They're always triple
Always miss,
shots.
and everyone gets
And
away from the explosion.
yeah, and the guy always gets the girl, and it's you can hang on from a building from one hand for unlimited amount of time. Upper body strength is incredible, but um, that would be my thing now. I would say I love watching mindlessly violent. Like I'm telling you, the more gratuitous violence, the better. I love it because it's such a contrast from like my everyday life
Yeah,
where I'm like forehead kisses and homework and booth and stuff, something like that. Yeah, I like, that's my escape.
that's your Secret Life of Walter Mitty moment where you get to become somebody else. I
Yeah, man, that's my secret identity, I guess. That I get to live vicariously through these action stars. So yeah, thank you. Just helped me realize I just may have a vice.
see. That's what the show is for.
That's what it's all about.
Um,
You help
if
me
you
get the
have
power.
Netflix, I might suggest two things. One, there's a series called Lupin.
Saw it. Yep,
Oh, well
loved
then
it.
there you go. And then there's this French filmmaker. They make some cool action movies, and the name escapes me now, but it's, oh, what is it? Broken Bullet, something with a bullet. But anyway,
That
it's
sounds about right. That's usually something with a bullet.
yeah. So think Fast and Furious, and they somehow sprinkled in John Wick and put that together, and it's in French. You can watch it subtitles or you can hear the dub,
Yeah,
but the action, like, I got to give it to the French. I've seen different fight sequences from different,
yeah.
Chinese have their fight sequences. A couple of German action films had their fight sequences, but they doing something dope in France, bro.
Oh, really?
When I remember it, I'll text it to you. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I just
it'll.
saw Kate on Netflix, and that is wall to wall,
Oh, was it?
mindless. Kate,
Hmm.
Kate. Yeah, man. It's all blood and stabbing and shooting, and I loved it. I loved every second of it. Um, has Woody Harrelson. I don't remember the woman who starred. I don't remember her name, but she was also in a Renaissance. Was it Renaissance Man with Will Smith when he was like with his younger self and all that
Yeah.
stuff? Uh, Not Renaissance Man. What the Anyway, whatever it was called. You know the movie I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But it stars her, and it's called Kate, Kate. So if you want some just like blood and nonsense,
I might check that out because tonight is her long night at school, so she won't be home till.
hey, there you go. Look, check it out, man. You play it nice and loud, lots of just and you know, I love that stuff because when I worked at the video game studio, that was part of my job. I was an audio sound designer, and we would do like Foley. And so one of the
Oh,
games we
that's
worked
dope.
on, if you remember the show Dexter on
Yes.
Showtime, so we actually did the Dexter iPhone game
Oh, okay.
back in, just had to be 2005-ish,
Mhm.
2006. No, about 2006. And it was fun, man. Like we're stabbing heads of lettuce and cabbage and watermelons, and we're like twisting celery for break-in, and we're like throwing cornstarch liquid against the wall for blood spatter.
The
Like
splatter.
so,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
So
cool.
like seeing it and hearing it in movies because I kind of know the process of like tomatoes and stuff getting squished and stabbed. Yeah, I love that stuff. I know, and like I said, I think it's because it's such a departure from who I am in my actual life. Like I'm not about that violence. Although I have trained in boxing, Muay Thai, and Krav Maga, but that's neither here nor
Just
there.
to let y'all know he don't play.
Yeah, just to let you know, I might be dangerous in real life, but and probably Jason Bourne is behind me wanting to learn all that stuff. But yeah, it's such a departure. I love it. That's so funny, man. You like unlocked an achievement of like I might actually have a vice.
Yeah, see, there you go. Well, folks,
Yeah,
before
that
we
was a
go, man.
long tangent. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's
But,
cool. Hey, you know what? These things happen. How can the good folks find you, sir?
well, look, man. All social media at Donovan_VO. That's DONOVAN_VO. VOLifeclothing.com. DonovanVO.com. So yeah, try to make it pretty simple for folks to find me. I don't post as often as I used to. I used to do a lot of these behind the scenes videos and stuff. I don't have time these days.
That's the grind, man.
It's the grind. So, but yeah, man, I try to at least post on every now and then. But yeah, that's how you can find me, everyone. And listen out for me on the airwaves and on cable and wherever else you hear your advertisements.
The pride of NC State, y'all, Mr. Donovan Corneetz. Thank you, brother.
I appreciate that. Absolutely. We'll have to mark that. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, y'all. This has been another episode of Take Time Out with Tre Mosley. And until next time, take time out for yourself. Thanks for listening to the Take Time Out with Tre Mosley podcast, part of the Titan Media Network. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, or wherever you get your podcast. To see the video version of this, you can find us on YouTube on the Take Time Out with Tre Mosley YouTube page. Thanks for listening, or thanks for watching. Either way, we'll see you next time.